Well, hey, oh, Carolina, I show my love for China. Down there, they're all the same. So very quack contrary, a maraschino cherry. That's my new ball and chain. Well, let's roll lazy daisy out of here now. Well, let's roll lazy daisy out of here now. Well, let's roll lazy daisy naked, making daisy chains out of our mind. Well, I got mine.
Non-stop rock talk with Tyson Bryden.
Welcome to Non-Stop Rock Talk. This is your host, Tyson Bryden. Today we are joined once again by Donnie Vie, formerly of Enuff Z Nuff, solo artist. Donnie, great to have you on the show again. How are you doing, man?
I'm pretty good for my age. Glad to be back on the show. I've been trying really hard to get back on. You finally got back to me.
Right. So let's talk about what's been happening lately in your world of music. What have you been working on?
I just keep doing what I do. Nothing really. I'm not really affected by the times or what's going on or anything. I just continue to just do what I do. I don't pay much attention to or indulge into politics and the state of the world and all that shit because that's not my forte. And so I just continue to do work through whatever powers that be to channel these songs. And I just try to keep up the steam and the momentum to keep up with the ideas. It gets harder as I get older and stuff, not necessarily feel like sitting down and doing that shit as much anymore. But that's just what I do. And and as we're allowed to, as time allows and opportunities allow to, and timing to put things out, that's another matter, so, but eventually we will be. And so I'll be ready for it,
That's good. Are you looking at just still releasing pretty much like singles, videos, or are you going to look towards recording another album?
That's all contingent upon the next month and a half or so of what transpires in my business career. I'm currently right now, I'm just independent, and I got off that label, and I got my records back from all of the labels solo records that have been out there, and I got them all back. So Chip and I just did a site licensing deal with Cleopatra Records that licensed all the Enuff Z Nuff records under one roof, and I used my money to buy all my records back. So now I got those, and I'm free to do whatever I want, or whatever comes along. And I'm looking at a couple of deals, and if I do sign with this label, then it'll kind of be on them of how they choose to want to do it. If they want to make a record, I've got the material. You know what I mean? I can do either one. It's just a matter of somebody going to get behind it, because I can't put out shit that's lesser quality or lesser production or anything than my last stuff. So that costs money to get things to sound the way they do with engineered production guys and guys that mix and the right players and stuff. That that's not free. And so it'd be one thing if I could just sit here in my little home studio and churn them out, mix them, and put them out. That'd be something. That'd be no problem. But I got a lot of stuff to follow. I mean, and that's really, I couldn't mix water and peanut butter and jelly. I can mix anything. So that's what's up. I got a single ready to go right now.
Awesome. Huh? That's good.
Well, the video came out amazing. The song, I retracked it once the video started coming along so well. I retracked the song with different players and had it remixed to now to live up to the video. And so now it's like it's a huge fucking song and video, like big time pro shit. And so I can't waste it. It's a one-time thing that I probably will run across in my years of songwriting and everything, that this one particular where the stars align for this exact song for marketing capabilities and shit. So I can't waste it. And we're still in discussions and with feelers out of where exactly how we're going to go about releasing it and promoting it and with who and who's going to help and things like that. And so that's going to be a little while to get that. And also the song is called Party Time, so it needs to come out in conjunction with something of that nature, something that, you know, to party about, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so today I just kind of was thinking about it that maybe I should release something else. I got a bunch of stuff in the vault, and I just have to, you know, pull some things out, look and see what I got, and maybe just release just a simple song, just out there in the, you know, in the social media bubble.
Right. Now, before we talk about the Cleopatra stuff and whatnot, I had to mention that let's talk about your Christmas. I believe it was your Christmas gift, that the beautiful Les Paul. I wanted to, and watching your face when you saw it was priceless, man. I guess you came up the stairs or whatever it was out the door, and you looked, and there was the case. Tell me about that guitar and what happened to it.
Well, what happened was I've had like endorsements all like, you know, from the day one that we first hit the scene. I had, endorsements like Kramer, fucking stuff like that, you know, Rickenbacker, all these things. And Fernandez, I've even poster child for him and stuff. And but when we started that Animals record, it was the third Enuff Z Nuff record. Somehow I don't remember exactly how I acquired this Les Paul, but I did. And ever since the day I did, I just never used anything but, unless it was something, you know, that required a Strat sound or something like that, you know. But as a main guitar, this thing just fit into my hands, and just everything I've ever wanted to do, play, sound, everything was perfect. And so I used it on basically every song, every record, every show, everything that I'd done for, I don't know, since from like 93 to like 2001, or I don't know, a little bit longer than that. It felt like a lot longer period of time, but it was, I mean, a lot happened on this thing. And then I left the band in like 2001 for a while, and got married, and I got some really sticky situations out there in LA, and we fell into a bind. And the only thing I really had of any value to sell, which would have helped get us out of the predicament we were in, was that. And it was kind of hard to part with it, but I did. And but I made sure that I sold it to a fan, a big fan that I knew would love it and take care of it, and I would always know where it was. And one day I'd be able to possibly get it back if he chose to let it go. And which I had heard a little bit about, and you know, saying some stuff, so you know, some ripples in the water about that, like maybe 6 months ago, and that I didn't really jump on it. And I did contact him, ask him what's going on. We didn't really talk about it or anything, and so I figured, all right, well, let's put that on the back burner again for a while. And so it's going about my business, and you know, I just didn't expect it, not at all, especially as a Christmas present. I don't know how she knew about it. I don't know how she found out about it, and how she found it. I don't know what the fuck. But yeah, they called me upstairs because I was lollygagging for, you know, on Christmas and showering and dicking around, doing this and that. And they're like, come on, come upstairs. And, you know, we're going to do the Christmas. I said, I'll be up in a bit. You know, the parents are there and stuff. I said, she goes, hey, you got to come up right now. I need you to, something's wrong with the fireplace. And I knew her dad was up there, so I knew that nothing's that urgent. So, you know, I still took my time. And I come up there, she goes, and I walked up the stairs, and you've probably seen it from that point forward.
I did, yeah.
They're really disbelief. It took me a few days to actually sink in that, wow, I got this fucking thing back. And then it took me a few more days of messing with it to remember just how much I loved it and just how great it was. That happened within another few days, and so, and all of a sudden now it's like a lot of my stuff's in cases and shit. This one's out all the time, and it seems to be in my hands a lot. So it's a special guitar, and with something, if there's a guitar in my hands, you know, music is being made.
That's for sure. No, I think your words were kind of like, "Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?" or something like that. Is this real? Like,
well, the number one thing is I know what I got for it. Okay,
yeah.
So I know that's going to be less than what something would have to be paid for it.
Yeah.
And to go through it and everything that you had to go through to get it. So I'm like, this I don't feel worthy of a gift that expensive. You know, I mean, I just think that's beyond. That's way over the line of how I feel anybody should do anything for me. You know what I mean? I'm not used to anybody doing anything for me ever, and she's just a wonderful and amazing. And it's like, you could have done a lot of other things, that needed with that money, but it made her feel real good, it made me feel great, and I guess it was meant to be, because after 16 years, here it is back sitting in front of me, and I guess it's got all these dings and nicks and all these fucked up things on it that are all little war stories. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could do a chapter of a book just on the war stories of this guitar, just on each ding and nick and gouges and cracks and all that stuff. But still, man, because I guess when I sold it to him, I was kind of messed up in those days, and I took nail polish or something, and I scribbled my autograph on it and some other shit. He couldn't even read what it said. A lot of it all over the front of the guitar. Really? The first thing I saw was that on it. I'm like, what the fuck is all over this? And then I look, and it's like, it's illegible, but I look close enough, and I can see a big sort of a D and a big V. So I figured out immediately what that would be. That's my tweaked out ass fucking dicking around, fucking didn't care anymore because I was losing the guitar. Figured it's a big fan. He'd rather, he'd like to have this artwork on the guitar, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
That's the first thing I had to do was get rid of that. So that took a lot of wet sanding and stuff, because I tried using cleaners and stuff and thinners and shit to get it off, and it's the old fashioned lacquer style finishes and stuff, which nail polish and shit melts right into that. So the paint was coming, it was coming off purple and stuff, and I was like, oh shit. So I had to basically wet sand the whole face of the guitar, and then apply a buffing compound and then buff it out, and then that's all gone at least. But that is gone. Everything else just remains intact, all the dings and all that shit.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna paint it.
No. I mean, that's the character. Mm-hmm. And like you said, you could write a book about it, which is cool.
I actually put the parts back on it that through the years I don't know where it had gone. Like, I changed the knobs to speed knobs, I guess, for practical purposes. I got rid of the pick guard. I don't know why, and some other things. The pickups I had changed out and stuff like that, and just don't know why I did a lot of that stuff, and don't really recall. And probably just dicking around, but that's all back together too. It's got a new pick guard on it. It's got the old knobs again. It's got the right pickups that should have came with it. They're in there, and you know what I mean.
Oh, that's cool.
Very practical. Plays amazing. It's just amazing sounding and playing guitar. It's incredible.
So did you put, was it PAS in that one then? I guess probably would have been, right? Yeah,
that would be PAS. It's a 61. So they're PAS burstbuckers. I went with it. I opted because nowadays they make better ones of that exact pickup. So I went for Pearly Gates. Just the same thing as I put in my 360 that I built, or 335 I built. The Pearly Gates sound really good, and that's basically the closest, relative to that old 59 burstbucker, because those you'd have to find them on vintage somewhere, and they're probably, who knows how much they'd want from it, who knows what shape they'd be in, and stuff like that. Nowadays, it's not be that much different. They recreate shit, so that's it.
Did you leave the covers on the pickups, or did you take?
Yeah, well, these came with covers. Some pickups don't anymore. Humbuckers, these came covered, and that's kind of another reason why I chose those. Because if you look at any of the pictures of me playing it through all the years, it didn't have covers. They were because I also had a strings and accessories and Gibson endorsement with them, so I could get pickups, I could get anything I wanted for free, and I probably just messing around and too much time on my hands, I would change things out and this and that and stuff, and I'm not that stupid kid anymore. You know what I mean? Now it's put what belongs in there and leave it the fuck alone.
Exactly. I just got a 57 reissue gold top back in October, and because I think I told you that my 97 Les Paul got stolen. So, yeah, well, and a Strat and a Telecaster. Anyways, I said that so many times on the show, but I replaced it with this 57 reissue gold top, and I like playing it a lot better than the 97. The 97 was like a black standard, right? This one, I don't know what it is about it. It's the guitar I play all the time now.
Well, things that become new, like in 97, like in those days, then what was considered new wasn't, they were, it was like you get things so good, and then you start overkill before you know it, things are just and not great. And in those years, it's just got to be a point where things had peaked, and then they started going overboard and shit like that. And so, and then different times they're competing with the price and stuff like that. And so nowadays, I know if you get something vintage reissues or something from nowadays, they're just so good at recreating what it was that was great about that or this and that, and and it's all done scientifically or whatever, but as opposed to actually having the 57 gold top, that inspired them to do that. You know what I mean? But that's a great guitar, 57 reissue gold top. That's got to sound and play very incredible.
Oh, it sounds amazing. It feels great. Yeah. It's great, a great tone out of it. Good bottom end. Yeah, it's just it's.
You can't really go wrong with a Les Paul to begin with. You know what I mean?
No, I agree. And I bought these other guitars. Like I replaced all 4 of them, and I just find myself I'm not playing those as much. I'm like I kind of went with some 80s guitars, and I'm like, which I thought with the bar on it and everything, and I'm like, I'll pick them up and play them. But once I put on that Les Paul, man, it's like smooth sailing. It's like, okay, this feels right. You know what I mean? So it's cool.
A lot of guys have a bunch of nice guitars. You know what I mean? There's most of the time they're guys that really can't really even play them that well. They have a lot of expensive, quality, nice guitars and stuff.
Yeah.
And but if the guitar needs to be first of all in your hands for it to do anything, to serve any purpose, and it also has to be in the hands of somebody that it would serve a purpose.
Right.
And so to have one guitar that is doing that, one guitar that is picked up every day, that because you're inspired to, because of the way it plays or the way it looks or something like that, the odds are a lot higher that something's gonna come of that than it is to have 20 fucking Les Pauls in cases that are put somewhere so they appreciate value and this and that and all that stuff. Because what good are those guitars? Those guitars ain't worth anything. They're worth nothing.
No, you're right. No, you're totally
They're
right.
not even worth what you paid for them. Not even worth the $2,500 you paid for the Les Paul, because it's sitting in a case somewhere, fucking trying not to get damaged and stuff, and so it's useless. I consider it worth nothing.
Right, exactly. You're so right. Why even buy it, right? I guess if you're a collector, but like you say, there's no point if you're not playing it. Then
it's not even necessarily collectors. It's guys that really always wanted to be something, but just and just refuse to admit to themselves that they're not that, and they just could never be that. So they're still always like looking for the secret of what the one that turns them into that you can't buy that kind of shit. And then it gets to a point then where to be able to roll and hang in the circles because they just love musicians and rock stars and music and stuff so much, but it's not necessarily their forte. That they compensate for lack everywhere else of having nice quality guitars. You know what I mean? Just to kind of try to even up the score. You know what I mean? And like I said, and usually all the guys that I've ever known that had the sweetest collections, like like just amazing shit and stuff, and a lot of them and shit. Our guys did, you know, I can take a fucking Les Paul copy in an old MacBook and kick their fucking ass. They can pull out all their quality gear and shit like that. And the bottom line is what you can do with it. And like I have what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guitars and a bass. And the only reason I have that many guitars is because it's one of each. You know, there's a Les Paul, there's a ES335, there's a Strat, there's an SG, there's a Gretsch hollow body, and a Tele. You know what I mean? An acoustic. And those are the main guitars. I don't need 2 of each of those. I just need one that does a good job for each of those. And I need this sound. I got one. You know what I mean? And I never would want any more guitars than that. I had hundreds of them.
That's the same way I look at it. You got to have a Tele. You got to have a Strat. You got to have a Les Paul. And then I've got a flashy like Charvel. You know what I mean? That's just, and then I have an acoustic, and that's, and then I've got a couple other guitars, like from years, I'm just redoing another guitar. I'm going to put new pickups in it, put a new neck on it and everything, but I have reasons for that, but it was an old guitar I had. Probably the first guitar I got in 1988, I think it was. So, and it was...
There's something more satisfying about taking it, putting a new neck on it, doing this and that, which would probably cost more than it would cost to actually go out and just find and buy a guitar. There's something more rewarding in it for you, you know. There's more to it than just playing it. There's the ritual and the act of doing it, you know, that you're putting into it, the love, and it's something to do, you know what I mean? And then when you're done, if it kicks ass, it's a bonus.
Well, the hard getting the fucking acrylic off it, like, you know, that old lacquer finish. So I had to put a heat gun to it and scrape all that off and then sand the under layer off of it.
Dude, disc sander. The fucking disc sander. Stick it in a vise, get a disc sander and grind this shit right off.
Well, you know what? I tried the heat gun. It worked. It scraped it all off, and that didn't take a lot of time. It was the disc grinder afterwards. There was like a white, I guess you'd call it like thick primer under it. It was really bizarre. So I had to sand all that off. It didn't take as long.
What guitar was it?
What's that?
What kind of guitar is it?
It was a Charvel Model 4.
Those were very, really, really well made and put together guitars. Those Charvels, Julia Charvels, and everybody I know that plays like lead guitar a lot and stuff like that usually has one of those in their arsenal. You know, I had a Charvel. But as far as I'm concerned, for me, Charvel, Jackson, Kramer, all those things are basically the same thing to me. You know, it's just that kind of guitar. I'm not that kind of player. Yeah. So I had a bunch of them. I even had my own model Kramer and stuff and Charvel and shit. And it made no difference to me. If anything, probably hindered what I did because I didn't get a full understanding of what kind of the guitar player that I was and what I was doing. You know what I mean? And I just knew that I couldn't do all these things that everybody else can do. That's the way I looked at it. But then through years, I've realized, well, these guys, those are, that's something you can be taught. That's something you can buy. What I can do is, it just comes from the soul. And so I made peace with that. You know, it's like I'm a hack. I'm a fucking hack on a guitar, but I make it happen.
You do. Yes. And
those are good guitars, yeah.
Yeah, it is a great guitar. It's, it needed a new neck. So I'm going to get a new neck for it. And I'm looking at pickups right now. There's a guy in Windsor, Ontario that, my buddy at the store here told me about to contact him. And I was looking at those and he's got some pickups that I think are pretty close to what I'm going to like for that guitar. But the premise of the guitar was the fact that my dad actually bought that guitar for me, and I think I was in grade 10. And my dad passed
spoiled little fuck.
I know. But I guess I shouldn't have said that, but it was kind of it was his encouragement. I sucked in school, so it was kind of his encouragement way to get me to do a little bit better. So.
You know what that does, though? Something like that, what that does for you, though, as far as creatively and as far as your, in that line of your life and stuff, it kind of is almost a handicap because there's something that builds, and there's something that you need to really do well, to really be good. That we think that is all in the process of the earning and learning and appreciating and things like that. And just when you go to get to grade 10 and you're at the top of the level, you're at the top. Where can you go from that? You know, you can't go any higher. So the best you can do is just keep going plateau there. You know what I mean? So so you work your way up, and you need the hunger. The hunger is the biggest part of it. Hunger and emotion is where it all comes from.
That's true. That was the only, you know what? That was the last guitar he ever bought me. I was on my own after that, and he told me that. He's like, "You want any more? You're on your own." So
probably didn't inspire you to do what he wanted you to do. You probably continued to fuck off, and now you had a great guitar, which you didn't appreciate. I wouldn't have got you one either. Like, fuck you.
Yeah, I know. And it was like, yeah, and I know exactly what you're saying. It's, you know, it's possibly the wrong way to go about it, but
people are too supportive. Parents that are too supportive, they're just completely just ruining any chance that a kid would possibly have in as a musician by being too supportive and just being there to like noticing everything. Oh yeah, let's get them this, or let's get them that, and this and that. That's just that you're losing so much by doing that for a kid. Like my nephew, same fucking thing. He's got all these expensive guitars. He's 12. You know what I mean? My first electric guitar, like real one that I was actually able to use and stuff, was a Les Paul copy. But it took me a year to pay for it. A Les Paul copy. It took me a year of going there once a month, taking the bus to this place to pay. It was $100. That's all it cost. But when I was 13, wasn't working a job. I'd have to go around saving up, birthday money, picking up cigarette butts in these restaurants that I used to do for a penny a piece and stuff, and I get the money, and all that money, I immediately get on that bus, take it up there to go see my guitar. It was a piece of shit, but to me it was awesome. And then when I got it, look what I've learned to do with musical instruments and stuff, because there's a hunger, total hunger, and there was never, to this day now, I'm not able to ever reach a point where I'm satisfied with myself or satisfied with anything. I still continue to have this need in me to be better, to get better, to do something more, to still stay hungry. And I don't think that's ever not been the case. And I think I've continued to do that up until my last record, which is the best one I've done so far.
That's amazing. As I told you before, it's an amazing album. I will say, I think a year and a half later, I had saved a ton of money, and I wanted an acoustic, so I paid for it myself. I bought an Ovation. So, I mean, it was, I don't know why I wanted an Ovation, but I don't.
Because you wanted to plug it in.
Yeah, I wanted to plug it in, but it sounded.
That was what you went for those days. Yeah.
Exactly. It didn't sound that great, though.
No, they never did. They had that tinty plastic back sound, but they did plug in, and they didn't cost $1 million to plug them in like they used to back then. You know what I mean? But I'm so old that when you say something like, "I got this," and back in this day, like, and you're talking about '90s and stuff like that. See, to me, when I think of that, I'm thinking, shit, that's not hardly that old at all. But that's just because I'm so old. You know what I mean? So I remember those years, like the '90s and stuff. I'd already thrown it all away by then. You know what I mean?
Well, you already put out a bunch of albums by then. So, I mean, I was still a kid. I was like...
We remember when how old are you?
I'm 46.
All right, well, then you're only 10 years behind me, but I remember, like, being in the 80s and stuff like that, getting an 80s, buying a new guitar in the 80s. I remember it was something that guys, the true connoisseurs or real guitar players and stuff were looking to the 60s. You know what I mean? The 60s and 50s and stuff for a good guitar if you really want a good one, or you can spend $1 million. See, so now you look back from here to those days, and that's considered a vintage guitar. Now, you know what I mean? But in those, I'm still in that mode where I'm looking for early 60s, late 50s and stuff, and I don't even know why I bother doing that, because I think it makes any difference in the way I play.
Well, it's still, I mean, it's cool to have it, and it's probably a better guitar all around anyways, right?
I've seen what they mean, those old ones like that. Like this is a 61. I have seen why. You know, most of my life I was always like, I just don't. How could it be that big of a difference and stuff? But I've seen what they mean when you just one gets in your hands and you just like, wow, this one just sounds better than all of the rest of them of this exact same thing. I mean, there's some years it's just like they got everything right at one time, and then they keep trying to improve things, keep trying to, you know, for different reasons, change things and stuff, which is stupid because once you got a winner and it keeps winning, why do you want to, you know, why fuck with it? It's a guitar.
Oh, that's true. But you're like you said, you're trying to reach that next whatever it is you're looking for, right?
I know, but there's no computerized shit. There's no technology or anything involved in a guitar. There's basically the kind of wood you use, the kind of magnetic pickups that take the sound, the kind of wiring and you know and electronics that move the sound the best. And it's just you can only get to a certain point of where there's nothing else you really can do except be digging around and doing it because you want to look cool or your company or this and that. You know what I mean? And I mean, once you get out of a certain area, once you go higher than that, now you're looking at a whole different animal, something that's computer created or some shit like that. You know what I mean? It's not just a magnetic winding pickup and things like that, you know?
Yeah.
And then you're looking at a whole different sounding instrument, a whole different type of instrument, not a guitar anymore.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, you think about those crazy synth guitars that they came out with in the 80s, right? Which were...
Oh, yeah.
Right?
They're still trying to come up with one of those that works so these guitar players can play keyboards. I mean, but it's just not that big. It's the hardest thing to do to play a keyboard. I mean,
well, yeah.
People go dicking around with that.
Exactly.
Tweaking out, looking for the perfect app or something, turning your guitar into a synth, or you get a goddamn keyboard you want a synthesizer. This is a guitar.
Get a keytar.
Yeah, right. Those were the worst, too. Not only did they were lame, but you looked like a douchebag playing one of those, you know? Keyboard players, you know, if you want to look cool, you shouldn't have chose keyboards as your fucking instrument.
Exactly.
You don't look cool standing there with your keyboard. You still do not look cool.
No, you don't look cool. I mean, whether you're standing behind it or you're wearing a guitar, you're still not looking as cool as
the keyboard player that's kicking ass and he's really enhancing the sound of your band and stuff like that. That guy looks cooler than me than anybody. No matter what he looks like, you know what I mean?
That is true. That is a good point. I will rephrase that then. You are right. Because, I mean, you know, he's adding to that sound, too. Keyboard's always good to have in there. I totally agree.
There's always some element of it that, I mean, when people say keyboards, your mental image is all these different things. Keyboards, talking sometimes there's just one sustaining note to a chorus or something like that. It's just one little thing that comes in as a nuance, done with a brush stroke, not a roller. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's true. That's good.
There's keyboards in everything. Anything you could ever listen to, anything you love throughout the history of music from back from the 50s, there's a keyboard in every one of those it's about, you know, unless it's punk rock or something, but there's a keyboard of some sort, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree. I totally agree. Now let's talk about. So you mentioned you got every album. You bought back every album. Did you buy back the Atco and the Arista stuff as well?
That's the only stuff. The two Atlanta, the Strength and the very first Enuff Z Nuff record. Those we still have a year left before we can acquire those back. Then they revert back. They revert back to us. So we're waiting on doing publishing deals and things like that until we have those as well. Because those are by no means even close to the best songs or the best records. They're, as far as I'm concerned, actually, they're the worst. Because they're the first. And you know, I got better and better and better. And so, but they're the ones that are on Hair Nation and stuff like that get the action and make the money. So those are the ones that are actually valuable to whoever you're going to do business with. Because they don't give a fuck. Nobody knows anything about true music anymore. It's just all business now, and that's all they're interested in.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So that's when it'll be time to do that. And meanwhile, it's nice owning all your shit. You know, even though You know, you can have all my records, all my great songs, all my publishing, everything in my one hand, and nothing in the other. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of good it's worth, you know. But there is something good about knowing that I have all of my stuff, and it's all really great shit.
That's amazing. So you do have the Arista stuff as well, or you don't have that?
Yeah. No, we got that. When we left Arista, it was a mutual agreement. Yeah, we can't do anything. There's nothing that we can do with this band in the state that it is, like as being a hard rock band. That wasn't Clyde's vision. Clyde's vision was the power ballads and stuff that I wrote and stuff, and the everything management and everything rubbed against the green with him, because everybody tried to keep emphasizing that we're a hard rock band to him. Well, he's Clive Davis. He knows what the fuck we are. You know what I mean? But he knows why he wanted to sign the band. And I was, a little bit clueless in those days as of what was actually being implied by this. Is basically, we want you, Donnie. We don't want the band. They don't make sense. It's this and that, and you can do this and stuff. But I was still young. I still... I grew up lonely, so I loved having a gang and brothers and stuff like that. And I was oblivious to the whole thing, But as when we left, parted ways with them, they just basically, just cut off close to $1 million, just wrote it off and just said, here, take your stuff. Good luck. Here's your records. Here's the videos and all that shit that we spent money in the records that were cost a fortune to make, which is actually ridiculous. Yeah. It was ridiculous then. Now it's outrageous, to spend that kind of money making a record, $150,000, $200 grand to make a record. Like, you're fucking retarded. You can make a record for less than 20 grand. A great record.
Exactly. Yeah, that seems absurd, that amount of money. Yeah. That's crazy. So,
and the daily roughs that Clive would like to hear daily updates and stuff, to hear how we're coming along in those studio sessions. He had to have his, in those days, was just the beginning of being able to burn CDs. Yeah. And those were $350 a day just for his daily thing to pop in real fast and listen to see how things are progressing. $350 a piece to make those. So that's how ridiculous money was just being burned and, into the wind.
Jeez. That's amazing that they let you out of it, though, and with your album and the videos. That's great.
Well, there was no animosity. There was just, it was basically, I want this one thing that didn't happen, and so he's not going out to fuck us or anything like that. It's just there was nothing in it for them, for us to be on there, and there was nothing in it for us to be on there, and so. And they're Arista. They got millions and billions and millions of dollars. Like, all they do is put that in a different column on their taxes, and they didn't lose anything.
Oh, that's good. That's awesome.
On the other hand, we gained a lot.
Yeah.
ATCO, we still owed. That was I think that was $8 million deal. Like it was 12 million, 8 records, $12 million deal. See, now we only fulfilled 2 of those. And so with the videos and everything, we're talking, we're looking at over $1 million that, but they're, so we had to file a bankruptcy to get out of that one. And even though you file a bankruptcy and you wash the debt, you still have no chance of reacquiring what you washed and what you flushed until you actually still can pay that off. You know what I mean?
Holy shit. Yeah, that's right.
A lot of times you're not even able to.
Right.
Pay it off in the future.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's wow. Well, that's a business, right? Now let's talk. I want to ask you about. So the latest vinyl reissue on Cleopatra is Dissonance, and the hit looks interesting. There's pink vinyl, green vinyl. I think I'll probably buy the green one. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Now
they don't have black, huh?
I don't think they do. I think the only ones available are the pink and the green. They look good.
So trying to bring back the vinyl, but bringing it back like that, I mean, you can't just whatever they had in the record you would hold in your hand when you were a kid. They wanted to do all this for us, like the black record and a big low fucking cover. You know what I mean? Piece of artwork on the front of it, but I'm glad they're redoing the vinyl, and I got a copy of it. My sister bought me a copy, and it definitely. I'll say one thing about it: the cover is 1,000 times better, and it's not. I think it's really not a very, very artistically mind-blowing cover. This new one, but the original cover was about as bad as they get, along with all the rest of the Enuff Z Nuff record covers.
Well,
horrible.
I'm just looking at that. I have the CD in my hand, and yeah, orange and fluorescent green, and just says Enuff Z Nuff with the peace sign. Yeah.
Any elements of what we were doing that anybody could do without me, without my input and stuff, they would do. And that was something you can pull off a cover. You couldn't pull off the songs. You couldn't pull off this and that without running things past me. But that was stuff they could do without running past me, and they did it every single time. And the only album cover I had any input in was the very first one. And that was the only one I think that's any good at all. And 10 is kind of good because it's that one with a 1 in front of it, you know?
Yeah. Now, so you didn't like the album cover for Tweak?
I think it's stupid. I look at it, I have no idea. Somebody still has to explain to me what would be the correlation between Tweak and that album cover, and still now it's being explained to me. I still don't see what it has to do with the other thing. Like, when you look at that, what's that look like? It's a fucking shitload of people and cars and stuff.
Yeah, it's apparently an Irish funeral. I understand an Irish procession after, and
what's
I
that
never
have to do with Tweak.
What's that? Yeah.
What's that have to do with Tweak? Tweak is your highest fuck on drugs, but in the technical, the technical definition of tweak is mixing things and adjusting things and tweaking them and stuff like that. Yeah. So this has nothing to do with either of the definitions of that, and when I seen it, I'm like, what the fuck is that? But it's just, I was just like so used to it, but I was like, yeah, whatever. All I care about was what's in it.
Who got the album cover?
The rest of them, like the management and Chip.
Really?
Chip, I love Chip, and Chip is very, very, plays the game well, and he's a very nice guy. He's very brother and everything, but he's not very artistically brilliant. And so he'd be, that's the last guy that I would look to for I would be the guy you would think that somebody would ask me, what would you like on the cover of your record? I would think that would be me, you would ask. And if you did, there'd be a great record cover. You know what I mean?
Like Beautiful
Although
Thing?
you can't. Yeah.
That's
like you can't really say that from all my solo records. So I've had some shitty looking ones, but that depends on the state of affairs in my life at that time, how broke I was or whatever the fuck,
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, that whole time period for you guys during from Animals to Tweak, was it strange going from two like major labels to Mayhem Records? Like, was it a big adjustment?
It was night and day. It was like moving from the city into the fucking the native village and fucking, you know what I mean? It was like that big of a difference. There's nothing even close to the same. It's not, if you're used to one thing and you've come up in this one thing and then you get switched to that. It's like throwing you having to go figure out how to do your show now without a computer, without fucking, you know what I mean? You have to do it pencil and paper.
Yeah.
And then literally mail it to everybody.
It was such a crazy time. And I mean, even as you listen to some of the tracks, it's like, it seems like the first few tracks are kind of more 90s style, and then you get to the middle of the album and it's a little bit more Animals sounding and then a little bit more poppy. You know what I mean?
Well, that all is determined by what the condition or the conditions under which each of those songs was made, because a lot of those records after Animals, all the way up until Welcome to Blue Island, those were, a lot of that is done on off hours, favors, us, basically us pulling it off on our own with whoever we know and what we could do. And some of those songs that you'll hear on those records started out as a demo version that I just did, on an 8-track machine that are taken and brought into a studio, and I will add this or that, whatever we need to add to it to make it, to be able to put it on a record. And then there's some of them that were that done the whole thing in a studio, and they'll reflect by the sound of it, but there's shit on there that's, plus in all those records, there's things that didn't make it to the one record, there's things that didn't make it on that record that are now here, and it's going to sound like a mishmash, but we didn't give a fuck, and who cares, because all we care about is having 10 or 12 of them and putting it on something and being able to put it out so we can go to work.
Yeah, I know, and you know what? It's a different album because, like I said, I mean, the beginning of it's a little bit more aggressive, and then it kind of, but I don't think it's bad. I don't think that's a bad.
You're talking about Tweaked?
Yeah,
Tweaked?
Yeah.
Tweaked and Seven. Both of those records were one big whole. Yeah. One big whole thing, and they just were divided up into light poppy ones and the heavier ones because we were trying to pull a fast one into Japan and call it something else, and so we figured we needed to change because Derek was gone then, and no more having to have that Antichrist guitar on there anymore, and just there was already enough stigmatism with that name, things with the look in the 80s and all this shit was all with that, and so figured it would kind of get away. It's getting on the other end of the planet as far as the way that this sounds like, and just maintain the killer songs and vocals. You know what I mean? And so it was kind of divided up, but they were all done the exact same way, the same time period, same setup. It's just, they were just kind of divided up into two records so that we could get two deals instead of one.
Oh, no, that's cool. Yeah, I think it's Life is Strange has that like really heavy, like Soundgarden type of guitar on it. And then the verse is a little bit mellow, and then it goes heavy again. I think that's a really cool song. And it was very different from what you guys had done, and there's a bunch of stuff on there that was different from what you guys had done. And you mentioned Derek, and you guys he was like, the shredder type of player and everything, and it was more like the guitar was playing to what the song was, it was the song and the solo later. It really is, I don't consider there's really even a song in there, Life is Strange. What that was an attempt on my part to recreate the times of what was going on then, and that's the song. That's what the inspiration for writing the song was the sound of how the chorus would come in compared to the verse and stuff like Nirvana would do and stuff like that. And so that's how the song was created, and it didn't start from an idea or any kind of emotion or anything. So as far as I'm concerned, there's really no song there. But what you're saying was intentional. That's exactly what I was trying to do. So I guess that was successful. Yeah, because I thought that guitar sounds like Ed Shine by Soundgarden, and then I did hear the Nirvana references in the other part, which was cool.
The verse is totally basically like a ripoff of something Kurt Cobain would write.
Yeah, no, it was good, and
cello on it and everything.
What's that? Sorry.
The cello on it and everything, that terrible guitar sound with the cello and those dissonant type chord arrangement,
Oh, it's cool. Another one, Mr. Jones was one I always really liked. Chorus is really strong. Do you remember what Mr. Jones was that speaking metaphorically?
It was that was something I kind of wrote on the offshoot of like the usual. I would write things and songs, and then I would write things with Chip and have those songs, and then there was things that happened in the dark corners, like with Derek and stuff, when we were fucked up and high and doing things like that. That was one of those, and I don't really have all my wits about me when I'm in that kind of state of mind. And so Jones, I must have obviously was jonesing at the time, of writing it, and so that's where the Jones came from, and then Mr. Jones, it's you needed a Jones and da 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 da. So you know what goes before Jones that has two syllables. You know what I mean? You just go down the list and until the computer digs like, oh, Mister. Oh, all right, there you go. That makes sense.
That's good. That's very good. Now, getting back to the Cleopatra stuff, so your plan is to release more of the albums on vinyl?
They're going to release them all, and the main thing that they're looking at is the next thing I think is probably either Peach Fuzz or the box set, but they're both right now being put together. The box set, I imagine, is the priority, and but yeah, each record is going to be re-released. The new cover. A lot of you just can't find or get them anywhere, and a lot of them were never promoted. You know, you had to be a big fan to know they exist and stuff. And so the records are all worthy of a proper release. You know what I mean? A proper existence and be acknowledged. So that's a good thing. You know, when you're looking at hindsight at this point in this stage of the game, still making more stuff. As far as I'm concerned, the box set would be where my head is at, you know, because they've been out and this and that, and the box set is something that has a sense of newness about it. You know what I mean?
That's very cool. I can't wait for that. I mean, I'm excited for Peach Fuzz. I'm excited about it. And Paraphernalia. I like that album a lot. I'm excited about it all, but I mean, just off the top of my head, the ones that I'm just thinking about, and actually seeing those covers. Oh, they're going to change the covers. So will they do?
They better.
Will they do another cover for Animals then?
I would hope so. That was a ridiculous cover. I mean, well, no, the cover actually, the cover was originally the back picture for Animals, and the one that went on the back was the original cover, and they switched that at the last minute, and which I thought was better, because I never understood the fucking circus poster type thing on the back, and I ended up having to buy that. It was a 1908 actual Barnum and Bailey circus poster thing made on canvas and stuff, and I autographed it somewhere in there, and all thinking big ideas and shit. I ended up having to buy that thing. Didn't know somebody was going to go over with a fine tooth fucking comb, see my little autograph in there somewhere. But I don't know what the deal was. I never understood how that had anything. I didn't understand the title of the record. But that's when you got major labels that are deciding that stuff, like Animals with Human Intelligence. Well, that just tells me what they thought of us. You know what I mean? They're basically a bunch of fucking cavemen with guitars in their hands. But then I didn't understand the fucking, just, those covers. They just, it needs to be the guy who's creating this stuff that needs to finish the picture. You know what I mean? It's like you take a painting, you made a painting, you're just about, done with it. Now the background needs to be filled in, needs to be put in a frame and this and that. And somebody else comes along and finishes it and does that. And it completely doesn't fit the thing. It's not what it should be and stuff. And that's kind of what would always happen at that point.
That's weird. I mean, you hear of other bands that have total control of what the album cover and the title is. It's so bizarre.
I mean, what you could put as an album cover for your album of all this great shit that you just spent all this time and work on, what you can do is any album cover is endless possibilities of how magnificent of a thing you can make and put that in. And look at the shit, garbage, fucked up, stupid rappers that all my stuff came in. It's really, shit like that is the reasons that I had issues and problems with everybody in the band and the organization and everything. Was things like that fucked with the creative vision. They fucked with the art, that lessened what it was, that lessened the quality of what I would create, what I would do. And then somebody comes along at the last minute and gouges it, with something and basically ruins it to me with like some shitty fucked up cover that has nothing to do with anything. That ruins things for me, because money's never been my objective. Big, huge superstardom's never been my objective. I'm an artist, and that's all I care about. And so that was the reason, and that would start and parlay into bigger problems that would turn into relationship problems that would last, until they finally fell apart completely. But those were the things that where I had problems with things. And then when I had problems with people, you know, I'm not very good at not showing them. and then people start resenting me and things like that. And I start to have to pull out that card with, the fuck are you idiots doing this for? When it needs to be me doing, and then it's all of a sudden it looks more like I'm just dismissing everybody else as a bunch of sidemen and I'm the guy and stuff, which kind of in a little bit of a way that was, you know what I mean? But I wouldn't look at things that way. I look at, if you're going to do this, then do we do it good, or why the fuck are you doing that to me? You know what I mean? If you really want to do this, that's fine. Just make sure it kicks fucking ass.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, so the cover for Strength, was that like supposed to be a take on Van Halen or something?
That was another one where the labels make those calls. But what they had is when you walked into the Echo building in those days, there was a big fountain right there that was that thing, only as the guy holding the world.
Right.
You know, that big fountain of the guy holding the world, and that's what it was right there. And I guess somebody looked at it and said, Strength, here we go. Here's our album cover. And they just did it with a big naked man holding a peace sign instead of the world.
Yeah, see, I thought maybe it was a take on 5150 with the guy holding the, you know, like that kind of thing. I thought, are they ripping off? It was supposed to be Van Halen. What is it? So, well, Donnie, I want to thank you for joining me again tonight. It's always a pleasure, man. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Thanks, man. You too.
Okay, we'll talk soon. Take care.
Once again, it's been fun. Bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Long nights, they used to turn into short days, burning the candle from both ways. Everyone out there were friends. Now the weeks pass, we get so high if the tweaks last. Our thinking was slow, but we'd speak fast and never let anything end. It almost feels like a dream. I'm trying to keep hold of the seams. Feel all my pieces scattered, roll away, far away, leaving everything that mattered. It's gone astray.